this book is a lot of questions by himself, for himself, and answers he discovered in his process of trying to research and uncover them. Questions such as, what is personal growth? What are the conditions that make it possible? How can one person help another? What is client-centered therapy? What does it mean to have unconditional positive regard? What is creativity and how to foster it? Every experience is a new learning. A new learning is a guide to the next step, and that next step leads to a new experience, and so on the cycle goes. On my first mentoring feedback session with Subhash and Patabi, when Patabi said that a coach is like holding a candle for the client. You cannot know what comes next until you take a step. This resonated with me a lot as I was preparing for this, because isn't that same analogy relevant to life? Isn't that what Carl Rogers was trying to say? He says, in my relationships with persons, I have found that it does not help in the long run to act as though I was something that I am not. And he also says, I find I am more effective when I can listen acceptantly to myself and can be myself. For me, this means as coaches, we must remain authentic throughout. A couple of things came to my mind. One is to be present, right? If you can only permit yourself to understand another person if you're truly present for them. And we have to examine our thoughts. We are human beings as coaches. We will have thoughts about our clients, but those thoughts should not turn into judgment. Those thoughts should be used to raise our awareness of what we are feeling and help us truly understand the client from their side of the world. Here he talks about, if you can just stay with the moment, stay with the reality that you are feeling, stay with your acceptance of your world not being the same as the client's world, then you can definitely create a space in which the client can be themselves and stop this need to fix things. It's about trusting ourselves, trusting our experiences, and trusting the process as coaches.
Bill Campbell, known as the world's greatest executive coach so far, but he was remarkably unsuccessful at Columbia University as their football coach, which was a sharp contrast to his successes as a football player. And one of the main reasons why he was unsuccessful as a coach was that he always acted in the best interest of his players. And in doing so, he operated in a win-win mindset, not so much in a competitive win-lose mindset. And then later, after 7 to 8 years of unsuccessful football coaching, he joined the business world as an executive with Kodak. And then later on with Apple, Steve Jobs hired him. And then, of course, he went on to be the CEO of Go and Intuit. He left all of that and then kind of went back to his passion of coaching. But this time, coaching executives with a win-win mindset, not necessarily with a competitive win-lose mindset. But the big thing really about his career journey was not so much the fact that he had these big executives as his clients, but the fact that he, as a coach, was part of their journey, which is to say that, as an example, he started coaching Steve Jobs when he rejoined Apple when the company was near bankruptcy and leading up to a market cap of several $100 billion. So he was right there with Steve Jobs during that phase, from bankruptcy to his remarkable success of Apple, right up to his deathbed. And same with Google. He was right with the founders, Larry and Sergey, and the first professional chairman, Eric, right from their startup stage to when they really grew up with hundreds of $billion of market cap. And that is why the name of the book, $1 Trillion Coach, because he made $1 trillion impact. And these are just two companies, there are many more. The best way to summarize his persona is really how he showed up in the world. He treated everyone the same way. He operated from a place of love, and he was known for his hugs and curses. Almost every second or third sentence he would use the F word. But while he used all those curses for people knew that he truly cared for them, not just for them, including their families as well. Whenever he would, interact with the team, he would be considered the team's cheerleader, egging on the team, not just the individual. And he truly believed that people should come together and form real bonds and a real emotional connect. And he therefore invested a lot of his time and resources in building communities. In terms of his coaching approach, really what differentiates Bill is that he invested a lot of time in earning trust. People just trusted Bill. Uh, and the fact that they could be themselves with Bill and feel safe with Bill. This speaks to our CC4, create safe trust and safety. And he believed in assessing coachability of his clients. He would only coach the coachable, and his way of figuring out who is really coachable is somebody who was humble, somebody who was willing to be brutally honest without the bullshit, and somebody who was a hungry lifelong learner. In fact, at Google, the build round was famous for all prospects. So, every new executive coming into Google would go through the build round, and Bill would only look for one thing: is this so-called executive coachable? Because he believed that if you are not humble, you cannot really act as an effective leader, which in his essence was a service to a greater cause. He would never tell anybody to do anything, just kind of ask those questions to promote discovery and insight. And he was known for his tough love. He would just say the things that no one wants to hear but needs to hear. And that was a lot of candor with care, and which was, of course, followed by his trademark hug. And Bill's yardstick for success really was that he never took, compensation for all his coaching work. Now that might come as a surprise, especially after hearing a book like The Prosperous Coach. He just did not accept compensation. And he used to say, I don't take cash, I don't take stock, and I don't take shit. Coaching for him was Bill's way of giving back to what he had received from his executive career. And his measure of success was very simple. How many of my coaches have turned out to be great leaders?
Coaching is a process whereby a coach or a leader aims to maximize the performance and the potential of others through non-directive and self-enabling conversations. And when I hear the word self-enabling, I'm quite tempted to add the word self-enabling and safe environment where we can have these conversations. So this is a great definition of coaching in relation to the context of the book. There's a great example of Satya Nadella, how we pushed the restart button when it comes to cultural transformation, and how he rebuilt Microsoft basically, and how coaching was an essential part of it. And one word that stuck in my mind after reading this book is self-assurance, basically. And when it comes to self-assurance, there is a very famous quote by Peter Drucker, as he says that you cannot manage other people unless you manage ourselves. And I also understood the true meaning of love and care, where a leader as a coach truly partners with the coachee and helps him or her to improve their potential and to grow in their career. And one more thing that stuck with me is the curse of knowledge. And the curse of knowledge, it says that, sometimes if you have to empathize, if you have to get, as a coach, if you have to get deeper, if you have to empathize, it's, if you end up being a bit more knowledgeable in that subject, it is a challenge to go deep, basically. So they say that as you get better at things that you have been doing for long, it is quite difficult to relate to people who can be ignorant in that skill. So, she gives a very good example of how Albert Einstein was a bad teacher, but a great innovator and a scientist. As a coach, courage is also about acknowledging the facts that, we don't have all the answers. So, this is how I see coaching as a courage. Cornerstones of coaching is what this book also talks about. Something like capability, clarity, confidence, and consciousness.
The word atomic in this book means something very small, very minute, and this is what we'll be, looking at today, the small habits which can remarkably, change our life. After reading this book and being in the ICF journey, I have gained a lot, and I have literally transformed a lot of things which I used to do the way I used to do. Even a fraction of the change towards a positive direction can bring a lot of happiness and satisfaction to us. Whereas, if we do 1% worse every day, it can bring us to zero. Now let's understand, what is the problem with a goal-driven behavior? For example, winning a marathon. Instead of the systems and habits of becoming a better runner, we inevitably put ourselves at a disadvantage. However, those who come out on the top are the ones who have been concentrating on the continuous improvements of their running habits, not just winning the single marathon. And these are people who run the marathon every year, for that matter. The author says, you do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. There are 4 stages of habit formation that the author talks about. One is the cue, one is the craving, one is the response, and the 4th is the reward. Now, how to use this habit loop for your advantage? There are 4 laws of behavior change. One is make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, and make the reward satisfying. Consistency is definitely a key, which the author, says that when you are trying to do something or achieve something, you should be consistent about it. Now, there's also an inversion to this 4 law, which is how to break a bad habit, make it invisible, make it unattractive, make it difficult, and make it unsatisfying. We are the sum total of our habits. Do a habit inventory, good habits and bad habits. To build a good habit, start small. The more positive you think about an issue or a problem or how to tackle that situation, it makes you more positive and helps you work towards it. Change what you see. Get rid of the cues for the bad habits. Put cues for the good everywhere you can. Also, don't do this alone. Get a good habits partner and cultivate that partnership.
The author is actually emphasizing an important element of the definition of coaching, which is partnering with the client. This is coaching power triangle, that both coach and coachee, they grant power to the coaching relationship. And the coachee in turn become empowered by this relationship to take charge of their lives and choices they make for themselves. In fact, it came so beautifully from this book that insightful and empowered relationship can have dramatic and energizing effect. The first cornerstone of the belief the model has, it says that the people are naturally creative. They're resourceful and they're whole in themselves. What it essentially says that there is nothing like that they are broken. They don't need any fixing. Everyone is capable of finding their own answer. It says that there is no scripting when you are doing coaching. Instead, they follow what is happening at this moment in the conversation. Third cornerstone is focus on the whole person. That when you work as a coach with a client, work with full range of humanity rather than seeing only a particular circumstances, challenge or opportunity that the client is coming to you. People don't open up to depth, they open up when they know they are really being heard to. At that time, they expand and have their more presence.
Theory U blends systems thinking, innovation, and leading change from the viewpoint of an evolving human consciousness. As the author puts it,
to shift the level of awareness of consciousness that people operate from in their everyday work. So the claim that we have is that the quality of results in any kind of system are a function of the quality of awareness that the people in these systems operate from. So it's not form follows function, but it's form follows consciousness.
Bringing together leadership in coaching, coaching leadership is a style that involves recognizing team members' strengths, weaknesses, and motivations to help each individual improve.
How can we use the power of mindfulness for not only cultivating the interior condition of the individual, but transforming the collective system?
Let's take a pause for a moment and look at the definition of coaching by ICF. ICF defines coaching as partnering with clients in a thought-provoking and creative process that inspires them to maximize their personal and professional potential. The words of the author, to me, clearly resonates with the very definition of coaching, where mindfulness can help improve the collective well-being. As a coaching leader, we need to be aware and partner with the client to move forward and avoid turning back. From a coaching perspective, this implies allowing the client to understand his or her current reality. The upper half of the figure, which Sharma referred to as absencing in his book, is characterized by closed will or fear, closed heart, and a closed mind. One of the other key characteristics, as explained in the book, is where the author says that it is important to focus on the emerging future rather than reacting to the loss. From a coaching perspective, this means, as a coach, we can make the client aware of not reacting to loss and help them focus on the future.
There is a very nice quote in the book. Those who have a vow to live can bear almost anyhow. This book is divided into two ideas. One, as I told, concentration camp. The prisoners lose their freedom, possessions, identity, and treated like animals. Yet some of the people, them survive, even achieve inner peace. They hope that things will be better in the nearest future. If you look at, right, so this is the coping mechanism he was talking about. There are how they cope up with their mental strength, not the physical strength. Whenever you are coping with any environment in your life, you are going to, your body or you are going to find out the coping mechanism in that scenario. These are three particular scenarios they are talked about: inner, reach inner values, goal for future, and perception of choice, whether you want to go right or left. The second part, which is a logotherapy. Logo stands for meaning in Greek, and logotherapy is a psychological approach to that focus on the meaning of human existence. It is built on the principle that every human is motivated by meaning. We want to know why we exist, what are we supposed to do, and what are our values in our existence. Okay, there are three ways you can find the meaning of life. Okay, one is through actions, means through your positive inner experience. And whenever you're making a choice, you think like you are got a second choice in your life. This is your second life, and make it this time perfectly.
Why do I do what I do? If we have the answer for this question, the way we look at life will change it completely in a different angle. There will be a purpose for life. And this is not like a book. It is like a workbook. It is like practical guide for any individual to find his own why. Every single person should be entitled to feel fulfilled by the work we do, to wake up energetic to go to work, to feel safe when we are there, and return home with sense that we contributed something larger than for ourselves. We will be happy when we do things what we do, but when we will be fulfilled when we comes to know why we do it. What we do is very much onto rational thinking, analytical thinking, and it is also having a language. It can be expressed saying that, okay, I sell this, I do this, different things. But when we say of purpose and how, it is mostly the feeling which comes out, not the result. It is only the feeling. So he says that always when a company or an individual starts with saying why he is doing and how he is doing and what he is doing, that will give a big impact on the outlook, how he is presenting. The why statement should be simple, clear, actionable, focused on the effect you will have on others, expressed in an affirmative language that vibrates within you. The only two ways to influence human behavior: you can manipulate it or you can inspire it.
We live in a culture of tell, so we find very difficult to ask, especially to ask in a humble way. Even when we ask, we are not being humble. when we ask instead of tell, and then the way we frame our questions, if the question is, in a asking way, it temporarily empowers the other person. He feels empowered. He feels in a position of a driving seat. What Subhash used to always tell me, the spotlight here is always on the client. So humble inquiry is now a fine art of drawing someone out, of asking questions to which you don't know, or to which you do not already know the answer, of building a relationship based on curiosity and interest in the other person. In Johari window, as people, most of you would know, there are 4 parts to a person. One part is an open arena where it is known to self and known to others. The other part of a person is the blind spot, that it's not known to him, but it is known to others. Others can see it, but he doesn't know. And then the third part is the hidden arena or the facade. He knows about this aspect about himself, but he's hidden it and he doesn't want to share with people. And the fourth part is the unknown part. He also doesn't know about himself, and others also don't know about himself. This humble inquiry really helps us to understand the hidden areas. If he is comfortable, he'll start sharing that. And then over a period of time, we go to another part, which is actually the deepermost part, where we will start getting into understanding what he also doesn't know about himself and others also don't know about themselves. The humility that we ought to develop is the here and now humility. That's what coaching really helps us get with. The here and now humility is that I am dependent on you at this moment. My status as a coach is inferior to yours at this moment because you know something, or you can do something that I need in order to accomplish some task or goal that I have chosen. I have chosen to help you. I have chosen to coach you. I have chosen to become a coach. And now my accomplishment will depend on your information. You have the power to help or hinder me in achievement of my goals as a coach.